Hello there, you're back with Marks here. This is going to be the last update we have for this game. It's June 1941. About what, 5 or 6 months since the last update. Quite a bit has happened here, but I'm going to have to clear this off the table for now. We just didn't have time to run through to completion. In hindsight, I guess we probably should have just picked, a scenario to start with rather than the whole grand campaign. Because the Western faction didn't really get used at all, and most of the action was on the Russian front. And maybe we should have just picked a Russian front scenario just to get us started. But I know it's always good to start with a full scenario or a full meal deal just to make sure. Well, I mean, for myself, it's to get myself trained in the rules of the game and how to play as far as the whole grand scheme of things is concerned. So that was my motivations for that. So anyway, some good weather last couple turns that helped out the German player in their advances. So I think we're going to just kind of zoom around the board and show you what's been happening here. All right, here we are looking at the south of France here, the northern Italy. The Italians did start building up some of their forces in the border here. What would have happened? August is when the the policy evaluation chit comes out in August, which is only 2 more turns away. I mean, what that would have done, it's basically a 50% draw on whether or not the Western faction would join the war or not. So, I mean, we could have waited till then, but like I said, we just kind of had to get this thing moving. I need the table back for something anyway, but I don't want to get into it exactly. But anyway, the game's got to be put away. It's too bad, but maybe next time we'll do a full playthrough on this, I'm thinking, rather than these updates. Anyway, yeah, so down in the south of France, just a bit of troop buildup for the Italians. All right, here we are looking at the French and German-Belgian border. French did get to have some upgraded units come out, but like I said, they've just been sitting there waiting. And looking at this side of the German line here, very weak, as most of the forces are over in Russia. And I knew I was going to be starting to move some troops back west come this month and next month, just to shore up the defenses there, knowing that the Western allies are probably going to be entering the game anytime soon. So with that, though, that's how that is going to end up looking. We'll go show you what's happening up in Finland. All right, so here we are with the Axis declared war on Finland last turn, and they advanced this unit into the border here. Basically, what they were going to do is cut off this rail line here, which leads to a Russian port in Murmansk. If we could capture that, that would have given us a bonus in our strategic warfare. That was kind of the overall plan for this, but we needed to go through Finland in order to do that. But here we are. This is probably... I mean, it would have been the sweetest unit, I think, that would have been advancing up into Murmansk. Not the strongest, but at least we can get some strategic warfare happening against the Russians and getting them down, because their production actually started to really accelerate when this Urals factory token came into play. And yeah, so I needed to offset their massive production somehow. We did put a air unit in Trondheim in Norway, and that helped out a little bit, but with the amount of conquered allied countries that the Axis had, it basically balanced out that strategic warfare bonus for either side, so it wasn't helping either side either way. But anyway, carrying on, let's head to Romania. Okay, in the last couple months, the Axis made some strong advances, and the Russian army was in basically a general state of retreat here. Retreat and regroup, I think, is what the other player was after, but this turn it looks like the city of Kishinev was about to fall. We had the Italians over here with an air unit and an infantry army. supported by Germans and Yugoslavians. So it looks like Bessarabia was going to fall back into Axis hands come this turn in June 1941, but it ceased to be anyway. So, I mean, the Russian player, you know, they did a lot of withdrawing when the heat was on, and probably a good thing. But last turn they did lose 6 armies, so they lost quite a bit of armies in one turn. I'll show you why here shortly, but we'll just go up into eastern Poland and show you kind of the situation up there. All right, here we are in eastern Poland, this big swamp here. We had a lot of Russian troops retreating under the onslaught of the German panzers especially. I'll show you when we get up into Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia what's happened up there, but not a huge push from the Germans here in the central part of the line here through the swamp, but taking advantage when they can of some weaker units. I mean, this guy's sitting, he's unsupplied right now, so, and I think you might have saw that down in Bessarabia. There's also a unit that is out of supply. First time that units have been cut off in the game. Anyway, lots of air action going on, and very expensive, man. The Germans were running their budget completely down to zero every turn, really pushing the limits. They really needed to get rid of some of those Russian factories in order to offset their massive amounts of extra factories. Right now, the Russians are sitting at 6 extra factories, almost smack them. So, and next turn would be the Lend-Lease Act as well, so that would even give them more factories. So, you know, their production would be maxed out fairly soon. It would have been anyway. Anyway, what happened? We'll go into Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia and kind of give you an idea of what's going on and how that played out. All right, so what basically happened was the German army spent several months over the winter just building up their panzer armies. And they've got 4 here, and here. But they spent 4 months building up here, and then the Africa mechanized infantry army there. Also, so we had those 5 pretty strong units, but if you remember, Lithuania was still neutral. They were pro-Axis. So what we did was, when the timing was right, when the weather changed, in other words, we got them to join the Axis side, and we flooded ourselves through Lithuania into Latvia, took out Riga pretty quickly with the 4 panzers. I mean, it was just a panzer onslaught here, blitzkrieg, and followed by the mechanized infantry army. Pushed everybody out of Latvia and Estonia as well, just last turn. But for the most part, the Soviets were on the run, and they withdrew quite a bit of their troops and kind of reforming their line in the rear. And it doesn't look good for the Soviets. I mean, it looks pretty apparent that, you know, especially in the coming months of June, July, August, it would be good weather, and would be just some further blitzkrieg advances past this weakened northern line here. And I imagine, I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do. Either I was going to push into Moscow or kind of flank south and start just pushing my way southward, because that's where most of the Russian factories are, is in southern Russia. But I mean, considering the opportunity I had with the weakened state of the northern occupied Estonia and Latvia there, I had to take advantage of that, and we did quite a bit of pushing back there. And yeah, so it would just be kind of more of the same. So, all right, I think that's it for this report here. This will be the last report. Like I said, we're going to put this away, and perhaps next time we can do a full, turn-by-turn playthrough where we show you. I like it better when I get to show you, exactly what's going on and who's moving where, and showing some dice rolling, and that way people watching can get an idea of how the game mechanisms work, and also a little bit more of my thought process, turn by turn, and then, rather than just this kind of summary, because of course I forget a lot of my thoughts about what was going on at particular times, blah 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 blah, ranting away as usual. So anyway, I'd like to thank you all for checking this out. This has been Marks, and stay tuned for the next playthrough series. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to pull out next, but I have picked up quite a few new games in the last little while, or new for me anyway. And anyway, we'll see what I can come up with next, and hopefully y'all will enjoy what I like doing here. So please take care, and thanks a lot for watching, and bye-bye.